Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that. And a lot of people in this space, and you know them, Jordan, is when they hear the word regulation, they get angry because they say, you're trying to stop our party and we have this whole new system and it's going to crash the financial system the way it is and we're going to set up a brand new system. But that's actually not true or realistic. What you really need is that regulation, because all the institutional money, the money that we know from the pension funds, insurance companies, the banks, when that comes in, it'll eclipse this whole market. You know, it'll take a $2 trillion market to a $200 trillion market potentially.
There's some amazing things that Bitcoin et al. Blockchain has done. Things it's like, lay down the railroad tracks for. But on the other side of the equation, one of the main reasons that people love it so much is because it's taken away all the regulatory hurdles for raising money. In other words, you can raise money for this stuff without spending any money. And it happens in a matter of days if you want. You could raise money almost instantly in a matter of, you get a Telegram group, you do this, and you're in, versus having to go through a real actual disclosure and a filing. So my concern is that I hope that regulation allows some happy medium there. And I believe that it will. In other words, it's going to require, what needs to happen here is there needs to be disclosure. The days of living in the shadows behind pseudonyms, I believe, is toxic and ridiculous. It has to end. I understand why in the early days it had to happen, because it was all unregulated. They would just go and arrest you. So you had to have these pseudonyms. But people then abuse that to start doing all these rug pulls, and there's no one even to go after unless the government gets in there and starts to investigate and peels back the curtain. That takes a lot of resources. But I mean, bottom line is, I believe this industry needs disclosure. And once that disclosure is in there, the power of the blockchain and of good deals will shine through, and the shit deals will really quickly fade away.
Yeah, it's a fine line. I had a guy on my show named Vinay Gupta about 8 years ago, and I talked to him recently. He was one of the co-founders of Ethereum, and when they were about to launch the coin, he said, wait a second, I see this all going wrong. I look at the legality, and he kind of withdrew from it, and he walked away from $160 million. But he saw that some people were going to go to jail, and we saw that happen. There are people in jail now that have been, persecuted, prosecuted, and then you went to the founder with no...
Mostly the wrong ones.
Yeah, I know.
Mostly the wrong ones.
Mostly the wrong ones, and that's why you see a lot of people in the Bahamas right now and in different other locations around the world, because they fear that they'll be made the poster child of regulation. But a couple of things. I get pitch decks all the time where there's no last names on the founders, and I'm like, come on, guys. Like, are you kidding me? But I see why they went there, but that has to change. Because this
that's what regulation should change. Because I think one of the issues is, and this is a legitimate complaint that these people have, the legitimate people that are remaining anonymous. So they're remaining anonymous because they're nervous about regulation. They're doing the right thing. They're trying to do the right thing, but they feel they'll be persecuted because there's a lack of clarity right now. I respect those people, and those people need to be anonymous. The problem is, for every one of those, there's 10 people who are using the anonymity to create shit coins and just separate people from their money. That's the problem. So when you eliminate that hurdle by having clear regulations, there will no longer be a reason to hide behind the shadows. You can still do your general hiding behind some corporations, but ultimately, you're going to have some disclosure. Someone's got to be able to take the fall, and you need that even if it's a decentralized organization, there's got to be someone that has to be accountable.